Hello everyone, this is Anthony with BBSN, and we are back with a Strat-O-Matic Super Advanced project featuring the Satchel Paige Traveling All-Star, the Ebony Elites, made up of Negro League Hall of Famers. And this is their Barnstorming tour against other various Hall of Fame All-Star teams, and currently engaged in a 5-game set with the Cooperstown Misfits. And the Misfits are basically Hall of Fame players who did not make one of the other All-Star teams, which include National and American League Greatest of the Great All-Star teams, a 70s All-Star team of Hall of Famers, and also a Hall of Fame All-Star team of players who played the majority of their career pre-1900. So this series is tied at 1 game each. The Cooperstown Misfits shellacked the Ebony Elites captain and manager Satchel Paige in game 1, with the Elites bouncing back in game 2. So tied at 1 game, this is turning into a very exciting series. And before we get to the lineups, I just want to take a moment to thank all my brothers and sisters in the military for their service, and most important, express gratitude on behalf of my family to all of those men and women in the service, both in the United States and also in my birth country of Great Britain, who have given the ultimate sacrifices for the freedoms that all of us in both countries enjoy on a daily basis. And without the great sacrifices of these men and women, this world and our countries would not be the same place to live in. So just take a moment to remember all the veterans who have lost their lives, given the ultimate sacrifice, fighting for freedom, and this is their day. So again, thoughts and gratitude to all of them. So our lineups for this one, game 3 of this series. A couple of changes in both lineups. For the Ebony Elites, the speedy Cool Papa Bell in right field leads it off. Slick fielding Willie Wells will bat second and be at shortstop. Oscar Charleston is in the designated hitter spot tonight, hitting third. Josh Gibson, the Black Babe Ruth, will be behind the plate and hit cleanup. Judd Wilson gets the start in left field today and hits fifth. Deacon White, making his first appearance of this project at third base, hitting sixth. Pete Hill is going to roam center field today, and he will bat seventh. Buck Leonard at first, hitting eighth, and Pop Lloyd, starting at second base, will bat ninth. On the mound for the Elites, Smokey Joe Williams, and one of the premier fastballers in the history of Negro League Baseball. For the Cooperstown Misfits, and again a team of cast-offs that is still pretty solid, especially when you have a Tris Speaker in center field leading it off, followed by Frankie Frisch, the Fordham Flash, at second base. Big Poison, Lloyd Wainer, will be in left. He might be Little Poison. He's one of the Poisons. Anyway, he's batting third in left field. Hank Greenberg will be at first base, hit cleanup. And Johnny Mize in for the Mick tonight at the designated hitter position, bats fifth. Mel Ott will be in right field, hitting sixth. Gabby Hartnett getting his first start of this series behind the plate. George Kell will be at the hot corner, and old aches and pains Luke Appling will bring up the rear. And on the mound for the Misfits, Addie Joss, a pitcher, and I've done a little vlog about him in the past in an All-Star Addie Joss tribute. But for those of you not familiar, Addie Joss, probably one of I'd say at least the top 4 or 5 pitchers of the dead ball era, whose career was derailed when his life was tragically cut short at the age of 31 due to tubercular meningitis. And the Hall of Fame waived their 10-year rule specifically for him, and he undoubtedly would have gone on to a Hall of Fame career based on numbers alone had his life not been cut short at such a young age. So, lineups in place, anthem is sung, and we are ready to rock and roll. Joss will pitch to Cool Papa Bell and the switch-hitting Bell. And good to be back on the Strat bandwagon again. 1-12, and that's going to be a strikeout. So Joss, the K on Cool Papa Bell, 1 down. Willie Wells up. And Wells against the right-hander. That'll be on Joss's card. And 4 and an 8 will be a fly out to left field. 2 down. Oscar Charleston and designated hitter. For some reason I thought momentarily I took him out of the lineup, but did not though. So 6 and a 2 against the left-handed batter for Joss, and that will be a fly out to left field X. And patrolling the grounds out in left field will be Wayner. And he definitely gets to that. And Wayner is a 5 and a roll of 12. Okay, so 5 and 12, and that is not going to be an error, so he makes the play, and we are through the first inning, 3 up, 3 down for the Elites. And heading to the mound is Smokey Joe Williams, and he will face the Gray Eagle, Tris Speaker, leading it off for the Misfits. And Williams against the left-hander, 4 and a 3, and that is a ballpark single. And again, we are playing in Fenway Park, 2017 version, so 1 to 19 is going to be a single, and Speaker has the first hit of the game. And behind the plate, Gibson, and it's more Smokey Joe on the mound, a steal adjustment of 0. So Speaker, he's going to give it a go here. Let's see if he can get the lead. And 2 to 5 and 11 to 12, and he does get the lead. And again, the score sheet, cool score sheet I'm using, has the adjustments built in, so he is going to be safe on a roll of 1 to 17, and he is there. So stolen base for Tris. And Frankie Frisch steps in now, not on the 1D20. And 3 and a 10, and Frisch, the switch hitter against the right-hander. And that is going to be a split chance. That's going to probably get home a run. It will either way, as that is a double. So coming around to score with the first run of the game is Tris Speaker, and Frankie Frisch has the RBI double. And things not off to a promising start for the Elites here as Wayner's up, and that is a potential pass ball, and pass ball rating for Josh Gibson is 6, and not a there. So 4 and a 6 against the left-hander, and that's going to be a fly ball to center field. Runner holds. 1 down for Hank Greenberg now. And I am remembering the super advance to roll that dang 20-sided die before each at bat. 4 and a 4 against the righty, and that's going to be a potential ballpark single. And that is there. And going into right field, the right fielder for the Elites, Cool Papa Bell, he has an arm of -1. And Frisch is a 17, so 1 to 16. He's going to come around and try and score, and he is in there ahead of the throw. So Greenberg RBI single, and the Misfits are off to a quick 2-0 lead. Greenberg at first. Johnny Mize gets his first appearance, and the left-hander digs in. 4 and an 8. That's going to be a ground ball down to second base, and up with that is Pop Lloyd, who flips it over to Willie Wells, back over to first base where Buck Leonard gloves it, and we have the 4-6-3 double play. But the Cooperstown Misfits tally a couple of runs here in the first inning, and we are through 1, score 2-0. And leading it off against Joss in the top of the second will be Josh Gibson. And Gibson, he went 4 for 4 in the first game of this series, and Joss winds up against the right-hander 5-8. And that's going to be a split chance. And Gibson is aboard with a single. So Gibson, Daisy likes Josh Gibson. And knotted there. Turkey Stern steps in now, 5 and a 6 against the left-hander. And that's going to be a fly ball to center field, runner holds. Judy Johnson ready to hit. And 3 and a 4 against the right-hander. And that's going to be a ballpark single chance. And again, Fenway very friendly. And pop out to shortstop. There's not going to be an opportunity to advance there. We'll treat that as a Texas leaguer into shallow center field. So runners on first and second now for Buck Leonard. And Joss delivers. And 6 and 7 against the right-hander. That's a ground ball down to second base. And Frankie Frisch is a 1. And Frisch is going to get to that, and his error rating, got to get back in the groove here with Strat Advanced, 16 and a 12. And he's going to make that play, and that is going to be a 4-6-3 double play. So the Elites come up with a couple of hits, but they cannot get anything across as Leonard hits into the double play there, and that was not Leonard. That should have been Pete Hill. Luckily that was off the pitcher's card. I did not make that lineup change. I apologize. I literally sat down to go through this lineup a couple of days ago to make sure I had everything squared away. But apparently did not. So regardless, we move on to the bottom of the second inning now, and Mel Ott steps up. And Ott, one of John McGraw's favorite ball players, played toward the end of McGraw's managerial career. And 3 and a 10 against the right-hander. That's going to be a ground ball down to second base. And Lloyd whips that over to first base, 1 down. Gabby Hartnett, famous for the homer in the Gloman that was a huge blow for the Cubs. 2 and a 6 against the right-hander, and that's going to be a ground ball to second base as well. So Pop Lloyd has the first 2 outs quickly in this inning. That brings up third baseman George Kell. And 5 and an 8 against the righty, and that will be a ground ball down to second base. And Pops is a 2 down there, and he gets to that. And 16 and 9, and he makes the play. So Pop Lloyd, a busy man, 3 up, 3 down for the Misfits, and we head to the top of the third inning. Still 2-0. As now Buck Leonard shall step in, the first baseman, Joss the pitch. And 3-8 against the right-hander. That's going to be a walk, our first of the game. And the steal adjustment for the Misfits is -2, which would put Leonard at a 13 if he can get a jump, and I'm not going to chance that. Nobody out. Pop Lloyd up now. And 3 and a 6 against the righty, and that's going to be extra bases. Or potentially single, and that'll get Buck Leonard over to third base. So counting my chickens before they're hatched there, but the Elites have a threat now. Runners at the corner, nobody out, and back to the top of the order, the swift, cool Papa Bell. And Joss the pitch, and 5 and an 8 against the lefty as he is a switch hitter. And that's going to be another split chance. That will get a run home. and single. So Leonard comes in to score. Over to third goes Pop Lloyd. And the Ebony Elites are on the board, that courtesy of an RBI single for Cool Papa Bell. And Bell, if he can get a jump, he will be a 1-15 to steal. He's going to give it a shot here. So he needs a 4-6 to get the jump, can't do it. And that will take us to Willie Wells. Runners at the corner, still nobody out for the Elites. Josh goes into his windmill windup and delivers 2-6 against the right-hander. And that is going to be a potential single over a ground out. And that will be a ground out, fielder's choice. So run infield was not pulled in. So Pop Lloyd's going to come in to score. And Cool Papa Bell put out 5-4, and with the RBI fielder's choice, Willie Wells will be at first base now. So runner at first, and that is the first out of the inning. And Wells will not try and steal with Oscar Charleston coming up. Charleston a prodigious hitter, and 5-7. Joss against the left-hander, and that's going to be a ground ball down to second base, and Frisch is going to turn 2 on that. So Charleston, a tough man to double up, is doubled up, but the Elites, they get a couple of hits and a walk and score 2 runs and knot this baby up at 2, heading to the bottom of the third inning. So Smokey Joe Williams, even game again. He comes out to face old aches and pains, Luke Appling. Did not miss a lot of games, but he always would complain about aches and pains, hence the nickname. So 4-10 against the right-hander. That's going to be a ground ball down to shortstop. And at short, Willie Wells is a 2. And he gets to that, and Wells, 22 and a roll of 9. And going to make the play. So 1 down as he throws out his counterpart. Back to the top of the order for the Misfits now. Tris Speaker steps in. And the pitch from Williams. And 4-2 against the lefty is going to be a strikeout. Swing and a miss. Speaker, a difficult man to fan, but Smokey Joe puts the high heat past him. 1-2 down. So after a rough first inning, that's 6 in a row set down by Smokey Joe. And Frisch, 2-11 against the right-hander. And that's going to be a ground ball down to second base. Pop Lloyd takes care of that. So another 3 up, 3 down inning. And we head to the top of the 4th, and it is still knotted up at 2. Addie Joss back on the mound to face the powerful Josh Gibson. And Joss, he was nicknamed the human pinwheel for his exaggerated windup, in which he would twirl his arms around his head several times before finally a high leg kick and bringing the ball home. 5-5 against the right-hander, and that's going to be a fly out to right field. So Gibson leaves that a few feet short of the warning track. 1 down in the top of the 4th. Josh to Stearns. And Turkey, 5-5. That's a ground ball down to first base, and up with that is Hank Greenberg's going to take that himself. 2 down. And Josh, who has mentioned in the video regarding him, was quite the crooner, sang in a barbershop quartet with Big Ed Walsh, a pitcher for the White Sox in that same era. 2-8, Johnson against the right-hander. That's going to be a single, so Judy Johnson. I did it again. I need to borrow from Chris at Strat-O-Matic Delaware, which is a fine channel, by the way. He currently has a Project 61 going, which is the Mantle Maris pursuit of the Babe as they attempt to eclipse the 60 home run barrier. Mickey Mantle, as of the last game, has the lead, or is at least at this point of the season ahead of both Maris and Ruth for the pace they were on. And also, he recently did a Strat-O-Matic tournament and has some good thoughts and feedback on that. And the reason I make the whiteout comparison is I need to white out my brain here, as I did not put Deacon White in at third base. So I did catch it, so only fair we check that again. 2 and an 8 against the right-hander. And look at that, still a single. So all is well that ends well. Deacon White down at first base. And yeah, it's been over, I shouldn't get this rusty not playing Strat for almost 2 weeks. And I've had my Payoff pitch and also a couple of teaser videos about my boxing game. So no excuse, but yeah, the rust is showing right now. So at first base, Deacon White, he is an 18 to steal, and it's a -2. He's going to give it a go if he can get a jump here. And he is not one that gets a jump easily. He needs a 7. He's going to stay put. I don't use that automatic pick-off rule on double sixes. So Pete Hill steps in now. And 6 and a 4, Joss against the lefty. That's going to be a ground ball down to shortstop. And Appling is a 2 and a 26. Gets to at 26 with a roll of 11. And he is going to make the play. So he fires across the diamond, guns down Pete Hill. The Elites get a hit, but strand the base runner, and we head to the bottom of the 4th inning, still knotted up at 2 in this one. Smokey Joe Williams to face Lloyd Wainer. And 6 and a 5 against the lefty, and that is going to be a split chance. And Wainer rattles that down the line, and it's rolling around in the corner. He's going to go all the way to third base with a head first triple. So Wainer stands at third base, nobody out, and the powerful Hank Greenberg steps into the box. Here comes a pitch from Smokey Joe, 6 and a 7 against the righty. Swing and a miss. Greenberg, a huge cut, comes up with nada but air. Ran that in on his hands. Greenberg could not handle it. 1 down, a big strikeout for Williams, and Rotro. So that is going to be a potential balk, and Williams has to be a 1. No trouble there. The pitch to Mize now, 5 and 11 against the lefty. That's going to be a ground ball down to first base. And manning the first sack is Buck Leonard, 1 and a 15. So he gets to that, 15 in a roll of 8. And he is going to make the play, and that is a G1. And I did not have the infield in, so in fairness, I need to call that. The runner is going to advance, so Johnny Mize gets the ground ball RBI as Wainer comes home, and the Cooperstown Misfits jump back in front, 3-2. And kind of early, I guess, to bring the infield in anyway. So 4 and a 3, Smokey Joe against the left-handed hitting Mel Ott. That's going to be a fly ball to right field. And out in right field, Cool Papa Bell, 1 and a 10. And a 20, so 10 in a roll of 12. And he runs that down. So that ends the inning. So the leadoff triple by Wainer, and he comes in to score on a ground out. We are through 4 innings, and our score is 3-2. Cooperstown Misfits over the Ebony Elites. And Addie Joss back on the hill to face Buck Leonard here. And Leonard walked and scored his first time up, 4 and an 8 against the lefty. And not this time, a swing and a miss as Joss takes a little bit off that, pulls a string, and Leonard way out in front. Heads sheepishly back to the dugout as Pop Lloyd steps in. And Lloyd, primarily a shortstop, but this team was loaded there with Willie Wells, so Lloyd, with a dearth of second baseman on the team, has moved over to the keystone position. And 5 and a 4 against the lefty, that'll be on the catcher X chart. And this is my least favorite chart in Strat-O-Matic, just so you know. And behind the plate, Gabby Hartnett is a 1. So a 1 and a 2. And roll of 11 there. And that will be a fly out to the catcher. So F2 as Lloyd heads back to the dugout, 2 down, and Cool Papa Bell. Here comes a pitch from Addie. 3 and an 8, and Cool Papa rips into this one, and that's going to be a sharp single back up the middle. So Bell, the 2-out single, and he's going to try and go here if he can get the jump. Needs 4 and a 6. He's got the jump, and 1 to 15. He's safe, and he's in there easily. Hartnett way behind. It's tough to throw out a man who can turn out a light and get into bed before the room gets dark. So scoring position now, 2 outs. And we are coming up quite frequently on that, and that is going to be a pass ball chance. And Hartnett is a 3. Nothing happening there. And the pitch to Wells. 5 and a 7 against the righty, and that's going to be a ground ball down to shortstop. And whips that over to first base, appling over to Greenberg, and the inning is over. So another hit for the Elites, but they failed to capitalize. And we head to the bottom of the 5th inning, still 3-2, Cooperstown Misfits. And Gabby Hartnett set to lead it off for the Misfits here. And 5 and a 5 from Smokey Joe, swing and a miss, the high heat again. So Hartnett, overpowered, heads back to the dugout. Rung up and hung up as George Kell steps into the box. And 6 and an 8 against the right-hander, and swing and a miss. 4 pitches, 3 strikes, and another out. Smokey Joe leading up to his name, throwing BBs with vapor trails, and back to the, or at the bottom of the order, Aches and Pains, Luke Appling up. 2 and a 6 against the righty, and Appling. That's probably going to be a single, and it is, so Appling fights that one off. And brings us back to the top of the order. And Appling will not try and steal. He stays put as Speaker digs in. Here comes a pitch from Smokey Joe. 5 and a 7 against the lefty, and Speaker gets a hold of this one. And that's going to be a sharp single. It's cut off in the gap. And over to third goes Luke Appling, and Speaker on at first base. So runners at the corners now, 2 outs. And the Fordham Flash, Frankie Frisch up. And the pitch from Williams, 2 and a 5 against the right-hander, and Frisch grounds that down to second base. Pop Lloyd's going to take care of that and extinguish the threat. So a couple of hits for the Misfits, but they leave 2 on. And we're heading to the 6th inning. Still 3-2, Cooperstown Misfits over the Ebony Elites. And Addie Joss is still going strong. Oscar Charleston up, 3 and a 4. And he's going to draw the walk against the right-hander. So Charleston, he will be a 15. And he's going to try and get a jump and steal as well. He gets the jump, and he goes, and Hartnett comes up firing, and he's had enough of these base running shenanigans. Charleston is gunned down. So the single or the walk goes for naught. 1 down. Josh Gibson up. Probably should not have taken the bat out of his hands. 4 and a 9 for Joss, but Joss comes up big and has Gibson down looking. So 2 outs now. And that brings up Turkey Stearns 0 for 2. A fly out to center, ground out to first base. 4 and a 7 against the lefty. It's going to be another strikeout for Joss. So Addie shows he can throw a little bit of chili con queso as well there. Heavy on the K. 3 up, 3 down. We head to the bottom of the 6th inning. Still 3-2. Lloyd Wainer up against Smokey Joe Williams. 6 and 8 against the righty, and Wainer leads off with a walk. And he is not going to chance a stolen base there as Hank Greenberg comes up. And 6 and 8 against the right-hander, and that is going to be a strikeout. So Greenberg has had his hands full with Smokey Joe after that RBI single in the first. Williams has just overpowered him twice now. So Wainer down at first, designated hitter Johnny Mize up 3 and a 10 against the righty, and Mize ballpark single there. And that's going to go right back up the middle and into center field, and they'll play station to station with Wainer stopping at second base. Not going to test the arm of Pete Hill out there, who is a -4. 1 down, Mel up, runners on first and second base. And 4 and 8 to the lefty, and ground ball down to second base. Pop Lloyd flips out to Wells, whips it over to Buck Leonard, and another 4-6-3 twin killing, and that's a big one. So a hit and a walk, they leave 1, but no runs, no errors, and we are 2/3 of the way through this one. Still 3-2. Cooperstown Misfits over the Ebony Elites. And this has turned into a dandy, folks, as Deacon White is set to start the 7th inning off. And the pitch from Joss, 2 and a 3, ground ball down to first base. Greenberg's going to take that himself, 1 down. Pete Hill steps in now, playing in center field for Oscar Charleston today. And 5 and a 9, Joss against the lefty, and he's going to tag Addie there. And that is going to be a hard double into the gap. So Pete Hill in standing at second base now, 1 down. And Buck Leonard steps up. Leonard has walked and struck out. And here comes a pitch, 2 and a 7, Leonard against the right-hander. That's going to be a fly ball to center field. Runner holds. So 2 down, and Pop Lloyd, bottom of the order up. Joss kicks, delivers, and this lineup has a steady diet of left-handers for Addie. That's a 3 and an 8 for the Pop, and that's going to be a ground ball back to Joss. He whips that over to Greenberg at first base, and the inning is over. So a resounding double does not come back to haunt Addie. And we head to the 7th inning stretch here at the old ball game, the special Memorial Day edition. And once again, gratitude to all those who have served and given the ultimate sacrifice for both this great country, the United States, and the motherland for me, Great Britain. As Smokey Joe Williams set to face Gabby Hartnett. And 6-11, that'll be a ground ball down to third base, and Deacon White whips that over to first, 1 away. It is White's first chance in this game. George Kell up 4 and a 12, and Kell is going to fly out to center field. Pete Hill circles under that, puts it away, and 2 down now. And Smokey Joe kicks and delivers to Appling, and 1 and a 5, and that's going to be a single for Old Aches and Pains against the right-hander. And that's his second hit of the day. Back to the top of the order, Tris Speaker, he steps in. And 4 and a 9 against the lefty, that'll be a ground ball down to shortstop. And again, Willie Wells, 2 and a 22. And he gets to that, and that will be a 15, so 22 and a 15. And that is going to be an error. So 7 is a G2. Okay, so E1, I'm sorry. E1, so runners go one base. And that is our first error of the ball game. So runners on first and second now, 2 outs for Frankie Frisch. And 2. And that's going to be a possible passed ball. And once again, Josh is a 6, and that gets away from him. So runners go to second and third now. Two down, that was a 2, not a 1, sorry. And 2 and a 9, Frisch against the right-hander, and he can blow this one open. But no, a ground ball down to first base, and Buck Leonard takes care of that. So that ends the threat, 3 unassisted. So a hit and an error, and the Misfits leave 2. We are through 7, still 3-2 Cooperstown Misfits over the Ebony Elites, led by the great Satchel Paige, he who had the rocking chair in the bullpen when he was finally able to play in the major leagues with Cleveland. Cool Papa Bell leads things off now for the Elites. 2 and a 3 against the right-hander, and that is going to be a single up the middle. So Cool Papa Bell is 3 for 4 now. And he is going to try and steal again. He has owned Hartnett, not going to be able to get the jump, so he will stay put. And that brings up Willie Wells. 2 and a 7 the pitch, and Wells draws the walk. So first and second base now. And that's going to get some action in the Misfits bullpen. And relief pitchers were sparse here. Smoltz and Bender are the 2 guys, Smoltz and Bender. And at this stage, Chief Bender is going to warm up. And again, house rules. Joss has to face 2 batters before he can be swapped out. So runners on first and second, nobody out. Oscar Charleston, the batter now for the Elites. And Joss needs to make a big pitch in a big way. 5 and an 8, that's not going to do it. As Charleston, that's a rocket back up the middle and a hard single, and coming around to score is Cool Papa Bell. Over to third goes Willie Wells. Runners at the corners now, and an RBI single by Oscar Charleston has tied this puppy up. And that brings up the last man in this lineup you want to face with nobody out. Runners on the corners, and Joss is feeling it. A potential wild pitch, and wow, a great play by Hartnett to avert that. The pitch to Gibson, 6-6 against the right-hander, and that's a line out to second base, and Frisch gloves that. The runners freeze and get back to the bag. And Gibson tore the cover off that, hit it right at Frisch though, so 1 down. Still runners at the corners, and Turkey Stearns up. 5 and 11 against the left-hander, and that is going to be a ballpark single. And you know, in this ballpark, wow, almost didn't get it, but 1-19. So Wells comes across. And Charleston, he's going to try and... No, he will not try and get to third. He's going to stay put. So runners on first and second, 1 out, and Judd Wilson has given the Ebony Elites their first lead of this game. And I've said Judd Wilson, I played the whole entire game with Turkey Stearns there. So apparently I must have had a dream I came in and fixed this lineup prior to this game. Unbelievable. making Gabe Kapler look like Connie Mack and John McGraw all rolled into one here. So that came off Joss's card anyway, so what's done is done, and Deacon White is up. And Joss, this will be his last batter if he can't get out of this inning here. The pitch to Deacon White, and 1 and a 6 against the right-hander, and that's going to be a single into right field. And in right field, Mel Ott has a -3 for an arm. Charleston is 1 to 17. He's going to try him, so 1 to 14 to be safe, and he is in there. And automatically over to third goes Judd Wilson, and an RBI single by Deacon White. And they have a little bit of breathing room, and that is going to be the end of the line for Addie Joss. So he kept this lineup at bay for the majority of the game, but here he has been unable to get anything done in the 8th inning. The one out he did get was absolutely smoked right at Frankie Frisch, so 5 of 6 batters have reached base. So the books will be closed on Joss at 7 1/3. He gives up 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 hits. On the hook for 5 runs at this point, potentially more. And he had 2, 3 walks. Three walks and 4 Ks, did not give up a home run, and Chief Bender will now come in and take the hill for the Misfits. And Chief Bender, I'm actually currently reading a book about him, called Chief Bender's Burden, and very interesting. Paints a very sometimes disturbing picture of what life was like as a Native American playing baseball in the early part of the 20th century. But I will have probably thoughts about that when I do get through with it. But for now, Bender in to face Pete Hill, and runners are at the corner and still only 1 out. And Chief, he is a 4, and already nerves getting to him. He uncorks a wild pitch to Pete Hill. And a runner moves to second base in Deacon White, and coming in to score is Judd Wilson. That makes it 6 to 3 now. That run is charged to Joss. And 1 and a 4 against the right-hander. That's going to be a ground ball down to shortstop. And runner holds at second base. Appling over to first to Greenberg, and there is 2 away now. Buck Leonard, the batter. And the pitch from Bender, and 6 and a 7 against the lefty. That's going to be a ground ball to second base X. And Frisch, 1 and a 16. He gets to it, and 16 in a roll of 10. And makes the play. So the inning is mercifully over, but the Ebony Elites get 4 big runs on 4 hits and a walk to boot. A wild pitch helped out as well. So we head to the bottom of the 8th inning, and the Elites 6, Cooperstown Misfits 3, and all 6 of those runs will be charged to Addie Joss. So with the comfortable lead now, Smokey Joe Williams will face Lloyd Wainer, and 3 and a 6, and Wainer, nice rip at that, but that's grounded down. A 2-hopper to first base, and up with that is Leonard. He's going to take that himself. 1 down. Big Hank Greenberg up, and that's going to be a ground ball to third. So 2 quick outs as Deacon White puts Greenberg away, and Johnny Mize. Smokey Joe has pitched fairly well the second half of this game. 1 and 7 to Mize, and that's going to be a fly ball to center field, and circling under that is Pete Hill. can of corn, and we are through 8, heading to the last inning. Score 6-3. Ebony Elites over the Cooperstown Misfits as Chief Bender sets to face Pop Lloyd. And Bender 1 and a 7, and that's going to be a fly ball to right field, 1 down. Top of the order, Cool Papa Bell. He is 3 for 4 today, has an RBI, stolen base, has scored a run. 2 and a 6 to the switch hitting Bell, and that's going to be another hit for him. And that will be yet another single. And he says no mercy. He's going to try and get a lead here and run. And 4 to 6, he's got his jump. And 1 to 15, Hartnett comes up firing, and again, not even close. So the man who is faster than the speed of light sits at second base looking to get some insurance here as Willie Well steps up. 5 and a 6, Bender against the right-hander. That'll be a fly ball to left field. A runner holds, 2 down. And looking ahead to the bottom of the 9th, it will be Mel Ott, Gabby Hartnett, and George Kell for the Misfits. As Bender sets the deal to Oscar Charleston. 6 and a 7, and that's a ground ball down to Frisch. And again, 1 and a 16, and Frisch gets to that 16 and 7. And puts that away. Nifty little play there by the Fordham Flash. And that ends the inning. So a single by Cool Papa Bell, which turned into him standing at second, does not bring any further damage. We head to the bottom of the 9th inning. Ebony Elites up 6-3 over the Cooperstown Misfits. And Smokey Joe Williams, they do not have anyone up and going in the bullpen. They're going to let him ride this puppy out. And Mel Ott will be the first batter he faces. 4 and a 3, that's a fly ball to right field. And Cool Papa Bell is a 10 out there. So he gets to that, and 10-14. And that's going to skip off Cool Papa's glove and turn into a 2-base error in the second of the game for the Misfits. So E9, and Ott stands at second base now. So not how you want to start this inning, as Gabby Hartnett steps up to the plate, and 3 and a 10 for Hartnett. That's going to be a ground ball back to the pitcher, and runner at second will hold. 1-3 on the putout, 1 down. George Kell steps in now, the third baseman. And Williams kicks and delivers and struck him out. And he has actually reached, okay, he's good on his point of weakness. So the K stands, and that's a big strikeout for Smokey Joe. And Aches and Pains, who has a couple of hits himself, is the last chance to keep this going for the Cooperstown Misfits. And 6 and a 4, Smokey Joe to the right-hander. And that'll be a harmless fly ball to right field. And Cool Papa Bell taps his glove. He's got this one no problem, and that's the ball game. So the final here. And again, I'm a southpaw, so I don't write pretty, and would do me any good if I did apologize for it. So 6-3, and the Ebony Elites rack up 4, 6, 10, 12 hits, 6 runs, 2 errors. And after that first inning, Smokey Joe pitched really well. He gave up a couple of runs and 3 hits in that first inning. Gave up a single run in the 4th. But the Misfits only got 7, 8 hits off of him the entire game. So Smokey Joe goes the distance and scatters 8 hits. Gives up 3 runs, all earned. And he is going to strike out 3 with a walk. 4, 5, 6. Strikes out 6 with a single walk. And Chief Bender, he goes an inning and 2/3 and gives up a critical wild pitch, but only 1 hit, and that run was charged to his pal Addie and not him. So 3 runs, 8 hits, no errors for the Cooperstown Misfits. And player of the game, really not, probably got to come down to Smokey Joe because he shut down a pretty potent lineup. But Cool Papa Bell went 4 for 5, had a couple of steals, a RBI, and a run scored. So I think we are going to go with Cool Papa Bell for the POG. So his line there is 5 for 4, 1 strikeout, 4 singles, 2 steals, and an RBI and run scored. So that's your ball game. And again, thanks for watching as the Ebony Elites take a 2-1 series lead in this 5-game set against the Cooperstown Misfits. And until next time, and our pitching matchup in Game 4 will be a dandy. Greg Maddux takes the hill for the Cooperstown Misfits, and Big Bill Foster will be on the bump for the Ebony Elites. So we will look forward to that time. And again, thanks for watching. Until next time, keep swinging for the fences and have a good day all.